focus, otherwise you can't see it. Okay, I think we're ready to start.
Cool. Yeah,
so first things first, well, the languages, all languages are allowed. Japanese kana is the slowest. Japanese is the faster than English by a little bit, but you know, for for our sake, we're just gonna go with English, yeah.
The differences in language are negligible, especially when you're going with English or Japanese.
Japanese kana is a lot slower though, but there's no other reason to take that. So first things first, this is the setup we want to be going with, is Warrior, Thief, Black Mage, White Mage. Well, Warrior is mainly for all the items you can equip. So since we're going to be doing the equipment glitch, which I made a small video about before, so I'm not going to explain it in depth here, but the gist of it is you can use items that one character can equip to change them into other items that other characters can equip. So the Warrior can equip a lot of items and thus gives us access to a lot of glitched items that we can use. The Thief has the best agility and thus like the greatest potential damage, since he can do a lot of hits, which is proportional to your agility. The Black Mage is used for teleport, which allows us to basically return to the previous flow of our dungeon, which allows us to, you know, escape out of certain dungeons, so we don't have to do like a two-way trip in a dungeon, and also like speed up some stuff. The White Mage is used for healing.
Black Mage is also used for haste, which we'll get later on to boost our attack by a lot.
Yeah, the Thief, well, the way classic upgrades work in this game is that some characters gain magic. Like, the Thief gains black magic up to a certain level, I think 4. So he can cast haste, but the Black Mage is still very convenient for haste. So, once you have your party correct, and it needs to be in this order, this order isn't vital, but you want the White Mage or the Warrior to start dacing. The order is actually just for menuing purposes. There's no other reason to have it in this order, but it does speed things up. So timing begins when you say yes here. You can skip this cutscene. All the FMV cutscenes can be skipped with X. Well, you'll see in a bit, Bob Ross. So basically, at this point, you hold circle to run. This is the only time you have to. Here, you buy one hammer. Okay, so now we have our first menu. So first thing you do, go to config. Dashed on. I mean, you can just dash with circle if you want, but I like turning it on. It's just personal preference. This is very important. Cursor needs to be set to memory, otherwise certain aspects of the equipment glitch won't work. And message speed to fast, because this is a speedrun. Next, equipment glitch. There's an end-up video about this, so if you don't get this because it's going too fast, don't worry. So, we convert one hammer into one knight's armor on the Thief, like so. Same thing on the White Mage, like so. Same thing on the Warrior via the White Mage, like so. On the Black Mage, like so. And then we equip 2 on the Black Mage. So you want 1 on gloves, 1 on armor. And then so that you can remove the armor one very quickly by just re-equipping a clothes. So now we have 1 in our inventory.
So, it doesn't really matter if you equip the second one on the Black Mage. It can be on any character.
You just want to equip you want to equip 4, 1 on each, and then the second one on the character. Preferably on their armor slot so it can be removed easily, but that's just small menuing stuff. So then you go to the item shop on the right, you sell the knight's armor, ton of money. So for safety, you only really need about 71. 61 is enough. 51 is a bit low, but it's doable. But I'd say for safety, just buy 99. You have enough money. 21 antidotes is more than enough. 21 Phoenix Downs is enough. You can always buy more, they're available in most towns. And so once you've bought all those, just leave and talk to the guard over here. So we have a few cutscenes, just mash. Now X is the only one that advances text in this game. There's cutscenes there's not that many cutscenes in this game.
There's only a few points in the game where you really need to mash X a lot.
Mostly at the beginning.
Yeah, this is probably one of the longest cutscenes in the entire game. And you can see it's still only a couple of seconds.
Yeah, the reason not to buy 99 is just that it saves like a second to buy 71. Okay, so here on the world map, you can get encounters on the world map, obviously. Plains have a lower encounter rate than forests, as far as we know, so try to rock in plains as much as possible. As long as you stay on an optimal path. Hi Sweat, how's it going? So here we're gonna go north, go ahead.
At this point you just want to run from every encounter. There's no real reason to kill anything. Our equipment is so overpowered that we will not really be taking damage from anything.
Yeah, Knight's armors are pretty advanced equipment, hence why they sell for so much money, and why they give us so much defense. So here we get the leather cap, and so this is a very useless piece of equipment on its own, but we're gonna do some equipment glitching. So here, use the Black Mage to convert the leather cap into a Judgment Staff, which is a very... not a good weapon in itself, but it's a good casting weapon. So it casts Flare, which is a very good spell. So do this on each character, so Black Mage to White Mage, then Black Mage to Thief. Now we do Thief to Black Mage, like that, and then Thief to Warrior, like that. And so now we have one on each character, so just like a recall of all the equipment up to here. So we need to have one Judgment Staff, one Knight's Armor on everyone at this point. Knight's Armor for armor, and Judgment Staff for damage. And so the Judgment Staff can be used as an item to cast Flare, but we're actually going to be seeing that a bit later for a forest fight. So just go north here, and I think I got 2 encounters, which is pretty good. And 2 encounters in this dungeon is pretty rare. But there's nothing unrunnable in this dungeon, if I recall. So for this boss, you just want to attack 4 times with every character. You can just hold X to attack with everyone.
Yeah, though the Judgment Staff may not be that great a weapon, it's still very overpowered early on, especially for a staff.
Even near the end of the game, it still one-shots groups of enemies pretty easily. So yeah, for like all the fanfare at the end of battle, you can just hold X. It'll automatically scroll through. Though if your mashing is very, very good, it's faster slightly to mash. Though you need pretty good mashing. He does have different music, if I think, right? Garland.
Yeah, Garland does have different music, so I guess it qualifies as a boss.
So once you gain control, just go up and talk to Sarah. If you try to leave, you basically just walk up, but at a walking pace instead of a running pace. So you want to talk to her. It saves, I'd say, 3 seconds. But if you forget and try to run out, it's okay. You just lose a bit of time. So here is the cutscene. Like, I'd say 90% of the cutscenes for this game are here. Like, this is most of the text mashing.
This bridge doesn't actually have that much text, but there are a few text boxes that seem a little random within that makes mashing worthwhile.
Yeah. So you want to start holding down here, right? Okay, well, I forgot to write this text box. So you exit the castle. So now we're gonna go north to the bridge that was just built. So try to walk like this so you get as much planes as possible. Got a bit unlucky there. Crazy horses, I'd say they're medium difficulty in terms of runaway. I got a bit lucky there. The main encounter that's hard to run from here is wolves. That's the main thing at the beginning of the game. They come in pretty big packs, and they're pretty hard to run from. Though it's still worthwhile to try and run.
So when it comes to encounters in this game, some of the encounters are very easy to run from. You hardly ever struggle with them. Some of them are a little harder, like the wolves, but you can still run from them. And then later on we'll see a couple of encounters you cannot run from them, period. There's only a few of them in the game, but it's... You tend to encounter at least a couple of them every run.
Yeah, so we haven't gotten preemptive yet, but we did get an ambush there, and ambushes basically mean that you're... Okay, so here are wolves, they're pretty hard to run from. They're also pretty fast, so you're generally not going to get the chance to run very early. So preemptives guarantee you to run from any encounter, even if it's... Because some encounters are technically unrunnable, like no matter how hard you try, you can't run. There's a list of that it's somewhere. It's gonna be it's in the notes if I remember correctly. Yeah, so enter Provoca, and preemptives can always be run from even if it's unrunnable normally, and ambushes give the enemy an extra turn. And so here, just defend with Warrior, and then use Judgment Staff, so items and equipment with everyone else. So Judgment Staff casts Flare. Normally you should get a character first.
You can opt in this case to just use item with the mages, so the menuing later on is a bit easier. But Thief tends to be one of the faster characters, so you can do Judgment Staff.
Yeah, so basically for the next couple of fights, for the next 2 fights, we just want to have someone use Judgment Staff very quickly. And for Astos, the next upcoming boss, we want to have only the mages use Judgment Staff. But if you only have the mages use Judgment Staff in this battle, you tend to not have someone go first always, so it's just better to use a Thief. The Warrior is pretty slow, so there's no need to. I forgot the rap I heard. Okay, so here I'm gonna talk about something. So if you hold X and mash circle, you get access to this minigame. And so this minigame is a standard 15 puzzle minigame. You can win. All that you care about is basically winning an emergency exit. It's a 1 out of 6 chance if you get a time under between half a minute and a minute. It's 1 out of 6 chance to get. And if you get it, like, let's say within 35 seconds, it saves about 45 seconds. It saves a minute and a half, but it takes 45 seconds to get. So I don't personally do it. And you can do it if you want. No one really does it nowadays, but it's a thing to remember. So Saiyans, I'd say Saiyans are about a 50-50 chance. If you want to play it kind of safe, basically, in terms of using a Judgment Staff versus running, if it takes two turns to run, it's as fast as having used a Judgment Staff on turn 1. So, Saiyans, I'd say you have about a 50% chance of running away on turn 1 at this point in the game. So it's pretty much a gamble if you want to run away or not. I just chose to run away there. Depending on like how far ahead you are, this, let's say, to demonstrate, if I try to run from this, I'm probably going to take either 1 or 2 turns. It's going to take me at least, like, I'd say 3 attempts, either way. In terms of general directions, we're going south through the... Okay, I got lucky there. And so...
whether or not you run away it comes down a lot to how risky you want to play it. With encounters like this, it doesn't really kill you. You can try as much as you want. They don't really do any damage, but the longer you take to run, the longer it takes you, and thus you just lose time in the long run.
Yeah, so ogres tend to be pretty easy to run from. Right, so just follow this general path to try and optimize how much you stay in the plains. Wolves are a pain to run from. Okay, that was super lucky. So this part is pretty annoying because you have to walk through a big forest, and you can tell Goblin Guards are pretty easy to run from, too. Just sort of like talk about each individual counter as encounter them, give like a small appreciation. Let's see, ambushes. This isn't really proved, but ambushes seem to give you like a harder time to run from, but then again, it kind of doesn't. But plains do definitely decrease the amount of encounters you get, so try to walk into those as much as possible, but don't like stray hugely off the barren path. If you have to take like one extra step to the side to enter a plane, it's probably worth it. Anything more than that, it's probably not. Preemptives are always runnable no matter what the enemy on first try.
Even if you get a preemptive on an unrunnable encounter, which is very, very rare, but has happened a few times, you can still run away on the first attempt.
Yeah, I'd recommend, like, for these sections to pull out your world maps and, you know, like Google or something like that and follow along. So basically we just went up and around the mountain to get to Marsh Cave. But it also, like, I think the notes... I'm gonna go ahead and post the notes so you can follow along. Should have put it.
In case you are doubting about where you are on the world map and you don't happen to have a map with you, you can always use select circle to open up a map. It is a little bit slower because it takes some time to load, but that is also a potential backup option. Especially if you forgot where your ship is or something, it'll also show you where the ship is or the airship. So it makes walking back to those a little bit easier.
Right. So, just follow it's pretty linear path, right here. The general idea is just go south. The encounter rate is pretty low. Okay, zombies can paralyze you. Hopefully they okay, that's paralysis. If all 4 characters are paralyzed, you don't die, but it's very annoying, because you have, I think, a 50% chance to get out of paralysis. And basically paralysis can stack, too, so even if you don't see it, you can have multiple paralysis. You can have paralysis multiple times on one character. And so he has to break out of all of them until he can actually act. So here, this is what's called a spike tile. So this tile will always give an encounter with a sort of enemy seed. So it'll always be the same type of enemy formation, but not always the same number. So here you can get between 2 and 4 Pisco Demons. No matter what, just hold A to use Judgment Staff. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, you probably want to heal before this fight. Because they do quite a bit of damage.
So yeah, even though a character here died, it's not really relevant. The only one that you kind of want to keep alive are the mages, because you need to level grind those later.
So, another thing I'll go ahead and mention, this is more of an advanced thing, and if this is a bit too hard to keep track of, don't worry about it. But basically, you want to make sure that your Thief and Warrior never go above about 70 HP. That you basically just, like, see how you use as many potions you want. Like, if you use a potion twice in a succession, you actually skip the animation and use 2 potions. And skip both animations. But here, I don't want to do that, because I want my Warrior and my Thief to stay under 70 HP. The reason for this is that there's basically the fight on which we're going to grind, he has an attack that's AoE that does about 70 damage to the party. And so lowering their HP by walking on tiles that deal damage is too slow, but if they're already at 70 HP, it's pretty convenient to have them die, and it saves a bit of time. So just you want to keep track of that, not heal them too much, just keep them around like 50, under 70. If that's it saves like 40 seconds if you can keep track of that. That's more of an advanced thing, but it still helps. So we're just gonna go.
The grind. If you would do it with every character, it's about 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes. If it's just, or if you have a full party, it's about 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes. With just the 2 mages alive, it takes roughly 1 minute to 1.5 minutes.
Yeah. I'd say it's a good 30 seconds. Okay, so you're just like walk up. Okay, here is gonna be the second boss of the game. Okay, wolves, once again, hard to run from. I've been getting pretty good luck. Oh, basically you just want to keep your Thief and your Warrior at under 70 HP by not healing them too much, so that they die the Evilized Thunderer attack, Fat Man. So that you can have them be killed off when you start grinding, without having to walk on spike tiles and stuff. It saves a bit of time, because like walking on spike tiles takes too long. So here you want to attack, an attack with Thief and Warrior, and then Judgment Staff with White Mage and Black Mage. So he usually casts Death, which will insta-kill a character most of the time. I think it's 2 out of 3 chance to use Death. Either way, depending on your damage rolls, you can either 1 or 2 turn. If you get all characters to attack, 1 turn is almost always going to happen. Okay, so we have a second turn happen, just attack. Don't use any staffs. There we go.
Generally, if the Warrior or Thief dies, you still have a decent chance of killing him on the first turn, but if one of your mages die, it's practically impossible.
And since Warrior and Thief are in front, they end up taking the brunt of the hits usually. That's the quest. So this part of the game is a big fetch quest, basically. So you can see I double pressed A there to cancel that. I might as well show this off. So if I press A like once, it does 1 heal, and I have to wait for the animation. If I double press it like that, like I said out earlier, like that. Death missing, I think it's a 50% chance for a hit to miss, like 50% chance. It's his most common attack though. He uses Death quite a bit. Not using it is 1 out of 3, if I remember correctly. Preempt is, once again, always runnable. Ambush. Yeah, all the enemies get an attack. So as you can see, we have good armor, so we're taking 1 damage per hit, which is not that much at all. At this point, there's no like AoE attacks that enemies can do, so you're pretty safe as long as you don't have like 10 HP or something like that. The main danger here is Paralock, which is when all 4 characters get paralyzed. At that point, just you lose a ton of time, basically. It's not... It can be dangerous if you never get out of it, but death by Paralock is very rare. Most commonly what happens when you get Paralocked is you just lose a ton of time. So here we're gonna go north, pretty much at the tip of this continent up here.
So yeah, about the paralocking, it can actually be deadly on one specific encounter that we'll be getting later. But we'll get to that by the time we can actually encounter it.
Yeah, I tend to play risky, so I just run from everything at this point and hope I don't get bad encounters. So here, like, the path you want to take is you want to once again optimize the number of planes you hit, just because this lowers encounter chance. Of course, this game is pretty random, so there's a lot of superstitious stuff going around about how to walk and stuff. The only thing that's pretty much confirmed is plains versus forest, and if you can walk through an area that double counts as a plain and a lake, there's a couple of those that we have to go through. I'll show those a bit later. Yeah, they don't take that much damage. So basically, just like the way I like doing it with the 70 HP is just heal them to 70 before Pisco Demons, and then once they get to about 20, I just use 1 potion on them to keep them at around 70. It's about that simple. It's not that hard to keep track of. But if they die prematurely, you definitely want them alive, because they give you an extra chance to run. Okay, I don't know if this counts, but I'm gonna try something here. I want to see if I can get an encounter. Don't know if this area counts. Okay, no, it doesn't. Even then, Phoenix Sounding isn't that bad. Phoenix Down plus Potion would get them into an acceptable range, always. The only situations where I'd see them dying is forgetting to heal before Pisco Demons, Astos, and Lich 2. We'll talk about what he can do later on.
Yeah, so because of all the defense that we've built up with our equipment there, throughout the entire run there won't be many things that even have a chance of killing you.
The things that are most dangerous are magical AoE attacks, basically.
Yeah, and there's only a few bosses that cast them in a sense that they're still dangerous. And most of the time you can just save in front, so you don't...
Yeah, you can save anywhere in this game, by the way, just like that. So here you want to enter the castle. And, talk to this guy over here. Okay, so now we're gonna do some more glitching. So, this is like a small thing, but you're gonna leave here and re-enter, because this puts you back in the middle, because we're gonna go to the right side. So had you like stayed inside the castle and walked all the way here, it would have taken more time than exiting and re-entering. So here we get the Mithril Hammer, can be equipped by White Mage and Warrior, like in the beginning. And this converts to Thief Armlet, so we're gonna put 3 of those on everybody. You can also put only on 3 people or only on 2, but the more you have, the safer runs are, basically. Like, the easier it is to run away.
What Thieves' Armlets do is they increase your agility, which in return increases your chance to run from encounters.
Yeah, so 3 on everybody.
Yeah, much like the hammer earlier, both Warrior and White Mage can equip, so it's pretty easy to equip 3 on everyone.
Right, so then you want to hold left, enter Elfheim. So this can be done at any point. This is the latest point you can do it. This is for safety. It's not necessary, but Gold Needle is what they do. 11, 21, 21 if... Well, I think you're going by 13, but let's buy 13. You really only need, like, 6, but 11 is the fastest to buy. So what those do, those cure petrification. If all 4 characters are petrified, you die. So... The thing is, we used to get an item called Gaia Gear that we used through glitching that would give us immunity to petrification, so we can get petrified at all. The problem is that this, because I didn't mention in this run, but I mentioned in the equipment glitch video, is that when you equip something in the shield slot and you block an attack, the game will try to pull the animation for whatever's in the shield slot. But if you glitch something into the shield slot, the game doesn't know how to handle it since it's not a value that it's accustomed to having. So it usually crashes the game, besides a few items that just happen to coincide with an existing animation like ribbons. So you generally want to avoid putting stuff in the shield slot unless told to. So if we had a Gaia Gear, it would meant we would have to sacrifice a Thief's Armlet, which would make the run less fast. So we get Golden Needles instead. Of course, you can still die to petrification if you get ambushed, but that's pretty rare, and it hasn't happened to someone recently. But I definitely recommend getting it, no matter what, especially in a race setting, because dying to stuff like that in a race setting is pretty detrimental. And also, it only takes about like 11 seconds to get Golden Needles. It's nothing major.
On top of that, there are a couple of floors, I'll mention them as we go along, where you might want to save just in case you get ambushed for races. Like in regular PB attempts, you generally just don't save there because it's too slow, but in a race setting it could be worthwhile to do that. It's only a couple of floors, so it's not that big a thing.
I think this tile is one of the famous Lake/Plain styles. I'm not sure. Okay, no, it's not. So basically, some tiles that look like both a plain and a lake, or essentially have lake encounters. So lake has like the lowest encounter rate on the world map. So if you can, try to walk in a lake or a river. Yeah, the reason like Black Mage and White Mage are less susceptible to get petrified is because they're less susceptible to get hit since they're the last characters in your formation. Right. So here's my Duergar. This is just cutscenes. Once again, all this was a fetch quest leading up to blowing up the canal here, so we can progress the story. Warrior and Thief getting petrified are the most common. Oh, you can skip that cutscene, by the way. Just smash X.
So any of the more special-looking cutscenes in the game, they're all skippable if you just keep mashing X. There's only a few of those. There's the one at the start, this one, and then one when we enter Sunken Shrine. I think that's all of them.
There's one at the very beginning of the run, right after you start timing, so be careful about that one. There's one after you cross the bridge when going to Provoca. There's one here, and there's one when you enter Sunken Shrine. I think those are it. I think you should learn the speedrun. I mean, this isn't a game that... Sure, if you want to play casual before learning the speedrun, but I mean... The speedrun is very different from casual play, so... Either way, there's still... I'd recommend... I'd like it if you signed up Avenus to read the Eternity. But you still have tons of time to play casual and learn the speedrun. Like, sign-ups for the tournament end on January 24th. Which is quite a bit of ways from now, though it's gonna... It's gonna arrive faster than you think. Let's go over here. Enter town, so here's some more equipment glitching. So this is probably like the most important menu in the game. Not the hardest, but the most important. Ooh, I don't have enough money. Okay, yeah, that's why you only want to buy... you only want to buy, 11, because otherwise you don't have enough money to buy the steel gloves. I actually learned that right now. This run is about an hour and a half long.
If you are short on money, what you can always do at this point is you can always sell the remaining,
yeah, you can always... Armors. Yeah, we have 4 of them. We're gonna sell them in the next town, actually. That's where I like to sell them. Actually, you can sell them at any point. We might as well do it now. Basically, any point after you equip the Thief's Armlets and they're off your body, you can sell them. So I went ahead and sold them. So hero, we're gonna do gloves to weapon, and steel gloves into... Oop, if I can get it, Barbarian Sword, which is an extremely powerful sword. So my attack jumps from 28 to 137. And so, the warrior is the only one who equipped the steel gloves, so you have to use him to equip it on 2 characters. Then you have to remove it and equip it on the warrior, because he can naturally equip it, and then re-equip it. So now we have 3. And now, to be able to access the black mage who isn't adjacent to the warrior, we need to move him. So I like swapping him with the white mage. White mage needs to be next to the thief for later on, too. So, Barbarian Sword. So now our equipment looks like 4 Barbarian Swords, 3 Thief's Armlets on everybody. Everyone has the same equipment at this point. For most of the game, it's going to look like that. And so here, a small thing, if you can, like either dock here, which is easy to do, or if you can time it, they're all like there, that's the fastest. Because your ship needs to be moved down and left anyways for the next town, so it's a bit faster to move it that way. Shadows are a funny battle, because they can only be preemptive or ambushes. Usually they're preemptives. If they're ambushes, this game hates you.
Also, so that Barbarian Sword we equipped a couple of times just now, that's actually the main reason we want to have the warrior. The steel gloves can also be done by ninjas, but you can only do that after a class upgrade. Right. So
and that sword, by the way, is the most powerful sword in the game, and it's normally only unlocked after beating the hardest boss in the game, which is a bonus boss.
And to give a little bit of an indication of how strong it has over double the base power of the next best sword, and it gives a strength boost of 15 on top of that.
Yep.
So it's ridiculously overpowered.
Yeah, so enemies in this dungeon are pretty easy to run from, especially with the 3 Thieves' Armlets. So yeah, now they have the 3 Thieves' Armlets, Saugons are easy to run from, Wolves are easy to run from. Up here, well, you can get the Guy Gear if you want, but Gold Eaters are faster and about a safe strat anyways. Yeah, I made a video, I didn't highlight it yet, but it's in the equipment glitch tutorial. I explained the intricacies of the equipment glitch, but essentially you can convert one item to another. So we converted Steel Gloves into Barbarian Sword. Yeah, they both exist though. So no chests, anything special to get here. There's not that many chests we open anyways. Wraiths are, I'd say, pretty hard to run from at this point. It's kind of risky.
So B3 of Cavern of Earth is probably, in races, the first cave you might want to save. It's the first moment cockatrices can appear, which can petrify.
I'd say there's very little need to save, because, like, getting ambushed and getting all 4 characters petrified is pretty risky. I'd say if you encounter cockatrices and you want to play it safe, just Judgment Staff and don't try to run away. If you're scared, basically.
And it has happened to someone, I seem to remember that
3 times.
To ambushes. So for race settings, you might want to do it.
And for vampire, just attack with everybody.
Just don't.
By the way, yeah. Normally he goes after your characters. So if someone dies, once again, I'm keeping their health below 70. If I were to potion my thief, he'd end up at 88, which is a bit high. And so then Ditka's chest. Don't forget to get it. Don't just immediately run out. So now we need to exit the cavern. So if you got the emergency exit, you'd use it here to exit out of the dungeon immediately, if you got it at the beginning of the game with the ship minigame. Though in races, I'd say it's pretty not worthwhile to get in races, because it's a 1 out of 6 chance. If you get it, it saves you. Okay, Pisco Demons are unrunnable. You cannot run from them, no matter how hard you try. The general strategy is if you have your cursor on Judgment Staff and there's 3 or more, use Judgment Staff. If you have your cursor on Attack and there's... just use Attack. So now my Thief's at 6, potions do 50, so heal him to 56, which is below 70. Something you want to keep in mind. If it's too hard to keep track, it doesn't matter that much. So now we exit. Same way we came.
This is the longest part of backtracking we do throughout the entire run.
Yeah, we'll have teleport soon enough.
Teleport, funny enough, is actually in the previous town, the town where we bought the steel gloves, but you need the class upgrade in order to get it, and you need to be of a certain level.
Right.
So we don't have a chance to get it earlier on.
Scopas are pretty easy to run from. They can also poison you, that's why you have antidotes. I haven't gotten poisoned yet, so haven't shown that off. Bats, like other NPCs, can block your way, especially in tight corridors like these. Just, like, try to keep track of their position and be ready to dodge if you have to.
And if an NPC gets in the way to the point that you have to wait for them to move, keep the button to move them pressed. That way they move out of the way a little bit quicker.
Mm-hmm.
We'll probably be able to show that off later on in the run.
Yeah, Lufinia. Yeah, if you have to use the thing is that like you try to wanna heal as little as possible if you're playing risky and going for a fast time. So antidote poison is something you want to heal immediately, unless like you're very close to like the end of a dungeon or something convenient where you do a menu anyways. Like let's say you get poisoned like a few steps away from a town where you have to do an equipment glitch, then you might as well walk the extra couple of steps. I think it does 1 damage per tile walk. It's nothing major. Also, let's say you overhealed your warrior or your thief and they get poisoned. You don't want to heal them. You want to actually walk a couple of steps so that their HP goes down to an acceptable level, 170. But once again, like, HP tracking for like the first 40 minutes is a more advanced strat. Ogre Hyenodon is pretty easy too. The Hyenodon does make it a bit harder to run from, as you can see here. But either way, Thief's Omelets are... that's the main reason we get them at this point, is just because they speed up things so much with running away. And so here... it's basically how to backtrack to exit just to get here. Talk to this guy, and he gives you the Earth Run. So now we can go back to Cavern of Earth and continue on with the rest of the dungeon. So by the way, up to here, the only dungeons with unrunnable encounters so far have been Cavern of Earth. In dungeons with unrunnable encounters, you wanna not hold L and R, which is... I don't think we mentioned this yet, but holding L and R will automatically make all your characters flee. That was quite the blunder on our part, but yeah. L and R makes all your characters flee. And so, yeah. In dungeons with unrunnable encounters that are pretty common, like Cavern of Earth with Pisco Demons, you just want to not hold L and R and wait till you see an encounter where you know you can run from. Because if you accidentally run from an unrunnable encounter, you're just going to waste tons of time. And it can also be pretty dangerous if it's an unrunnable encounter that's also... Yeah, you can also keep one finger on L, that's another strat.
Just later on, just make sure to keep track of what you're actually encountering, because there are a few encounters that if you waste a turn, they do get a chance to kill you.
Cavern of Earth Pisco Demons aren't too common, but I'd say starting Cavern of Ice, you definitely want to pay attention.
Yeah, Cavern of Ice is one of the more dangerous places, as you'll see by the time we get there. It's actually going to be the next dungeon, so it's not that far away anymore.
Okay, these zombies can paralyze you. They're also not too easy to run from. So if you want to play it safe, just Judgment Staff. Like, if you want to play it safe and you don't want to risk, like, getting paralocked, just attack. Those zombies will die to 1 Judgment Staff, though. Wargwolves can poison you. Also called Hellhounds in this version. Yeah, there's also a paste bin, an information paste bin under exclamation point total chaos. Okay, yeah, so these guys can paralyze you. I played kind of risky. So if, like, half of your team is paralyzed, just use Judgment Staff. Unless you're playing super risky.
Yeah, getting paralocked, which is what we call it when all 4 characters are paralyzed,
is at least a minute of time loss.
On average, you lose about a minute to a minute and a half.
And races can be pretty tight in this game. That's what makes this game a beautiful racing game, but a terrible speed game, is the fact that anything can happen. You can be 3 minutes behind someone at the last dungeon and still win. Which is why, like, I think this is a pretty good tournament for newcomers, because even if you're not too good at the game, there's not that much you need to know, and you can still win if you get lucky, and you play well, you know.
Yeah, probably the hardest thing of this category is just knowing where to go. Once you have a general feel of where to go, the rest is pretty easy to learn.
So here for Lich, you want to heal up White Mage and Black Mage, keep track of Warriors and Thieves' HP, keep them around 70, and saving is recommended for races. And attempts, no. So Lich, with Thieves' Armlet, you should go first, but he can use Blizzara, and Blizzara does about 140 so damage. It depends. Like, you may survive, you may not. Either way, if he does Blizzara twice, you're dead. You should go first, though.
You generally kill him in 2 to 3 hits, but he has one move that, especially when you're keeping your health of Warrior and stuff low, can one-shot you. And it has happened to me that even with 3 Thieves' Armlets, he just outspeeds.
So let's say, it does super random damage. So let's say, I died to Blizzara, just press LR, start select, and reload your save file.
Yeah. Also, the Judgment Staffs are not recommended for that fight, just attack with everyone. Yeah,
that's why we said I wanted to show the correct strat. Also, like, to point out, always start select reset, so you're not fumbling around in your controls or something, just pretty simple way to reset in-game. So attack, depending on what you did, normally you set your cursor to attack at Vampire. Oh, so when you reset, all your cursor resets. So my item cursor was on Judgment Staff, but now it's on attack since I reset. One thing to note. So yeah, you should go first. I think he has like 1,200 HP. Either way, 3 hits should be enough. 1 warrior, 1 thief, plus 1 mage is enough usually. And you should usually go before him, so he usually doesn't even get an attack off. And even when he does, it's not always Blizzara. But I'd say just save for safety. It takes 5 seconds. And even if you die, you only lose like 30 seconds, which isn't that much, really. 30 seconds can be gained on any split.
There is actually a strat where you can protect yourself from Blizzara, but it's a lot slower and it costs you one of the Thieves' Armlets, so it's not worth for this run.
Yeah. And it's also kind of out of the way. Yeah, the most common spell he uses is Blizzara, though. It's rare to see him use Sleep. So then, once that small cutscene is done, just exit out.
There's no mashing, by the way, in those cutscenes. Like, once the disappearing part of the statue starts, you don't need to mash for anything.
Alright, so just like, once again, walking on plains. Electro Tigers are pretty easy to run from.
You just want to get back to your ship here as quickly as possible so you can get the canoe and start going to Cavern of Ice.
Yeah, we do things a bit out of order. You're supposed to use the canoe to go to Molten Gold, but we do some grinding and get the airship first. Actually, we actually do things slightly out of order, but so here, just like, yeah, once you see like that small island there, just go left. That's like the queue I use. There's other queues you can use. You can always just press circle and select and see where you're on the world map. Even I still do that from time to time. It doesn't take that long. Shark's Eye Chief. That would have been hard to run from before Thief's Armlets, but now it's pretty easy. And Keg, easy to run from. Music queues. That's also a thing, but the thing is that if you get an encounter, it kind of messes up music queues on the world map. For airship, it's okay though, since you can't get encounters because of. Oh really? Yeah, Shark's Eye Chief is apparently the 1 out of 64 encounter. So if you got that, consider yourself lucky. It's also pretty hard to run from, so consider yourself unlucky.
Yeah, so some encounters in dungeons as well as on the world map are rarer than others. Specifically, we'll be coming up in the next dungeon. There's a 1 in 64 and a 1 in 255.
Both of those are dangerous too.
Both of them are incredibly dangerous if you encounter them.
Yep, so here in Crescent Lake, at this point you want to sell your Knight's armies. We already did. You can do them before. This is like the point where you pretty much have to sell them, otherwise you won't have enough money. So buy 41 ethers, healing MP. You can also stock up on Phoenix Downs if you're low. You can, yeah, that's about all you need to do. Mythor Axe? No, wait, no. Oh yeah, Mythor Axe. Right here. So we're gonna use this Mythor Axe and convert it into a Blackguard. 3 on the Thief.
So Blackguard is basically the upgraded version of the Thief's Armlets. The only disadvantage is because only the warrior can equip the axe, you can't actually equip them on the warrior themselves.
So this part is personal preference. If you want to try and get an edge and rely a bit more on luck, you can not equip it on the white mage. Now this probably loses about like 20 seconds equipping it, but like I'd say it gives you better chances of running. So this is a bit safer, but you can get away with not equipping it on the white mage, but it's a bit riskier. So that's up to personal preference really. Doing that means you're going to have to do another formation change later on, so it does lose a bit of time. So talk to this guy right here, he gives you the canoe, and only this guy, it's not just any random person. And then you want to exit. So yeah, lots of towns have just boundaries and you can exit multiple ways, so the fastest way to exit is up there. So here you want to go up 1 tile. You want to optimize how much time you spend in rivers since they have pretty low encounter rates. Trolls are pretty easy to run from. Yeah, I'd say you probably save all the time just on Ice Cavern alone. But you know, if you're feeling particularly lucky that day. Okay, Ambush, this is bad. This is also an interesting encounter. It's one of the few encounters with 4 or more types of enemies. Oh, by the way, poison doesn't tick on rivers. It's another thing to note. I actually didn't know that. Just letting that know.
So yeah, with the poison, when you use the antidote, much like with the potions, you can cancel out the animation by mashing X. It saves like half a second to cancel it out.
Yeah, yeah, you can cancel it by pressing X. So let's say you want to use an antidote, you press X twice, then B, or circle to exit out. Yeah.
So Ice Cavern is definitely a place you want to save.
First thing you do, how many times you save is pretty much up to you. I'd say, if you want to be super safe, this is pretty much excessively safe, do it every floor. I'd say, I'd probably save in 3 areas. This would be number 1, right here, at the beginning. Okay, that's insane luck right there. That doesn't happen very often, getting no encounters.
Personally, I save 3 times. Once at the start, once just before starting the grind, and once just after the grind.
That's what I was gonna say. Okay, yeah, Dark Wizard's extremely dangerous. Kill on sight. If you get an encounter, just kill, no matter what. They're extremely dangerous. They cast Fire Augur, which will kill you in 2 hits. So 2 casts of Fire Augur will kill you. Wraith Spectre, let's see.
Yeah, so the
pretty risky.
We could still just run from the Dark Wizard, which is, by the way, the 1 in 64 encounter.
Wraith Spectres are pretty dangerous.
Yeah, but the reason we could just run there was just because it was a preemptive, and like we said earlier, you can run from a preemptive no matter the situation.
So the second save I recommend is right here. There's a spike tile here. If you get an ambushed, and it's really bad, like a non-enemy ambush, I'd recommend resetting and reloading. So you can try to run away if you feel lucky. I'd say just use a Judgment Staff if you're not feeling it, you know. That encounter, I'd say it's about like a... Okay, Mind Flayer is dangerous, still not too bad to run from. They have an AoE paralysis attack, and they have an instant death ability inherent to their attack, so they can just one-shot any character with their attack.
It is also the only encounter where paralysis isn't blocked by a ribbon, which is an item we're gonna get in a bit.
Ribbons don't ever block paralysis, though. But their instant death ability can't be protected by anything, actually, just like an inherent automatically kills, but it's not related to death, the spell, or anything.
Yeah, so the Mind Flayers are actually the one encounter where a paralock is
pretty
potentially
easy,
deadly.
Yeah. Yeah, because they can kill you pretty fast. So here you can save if you want. I don't think it's necessary. And so this is the reason why you want to keep your Warrior and Thief under 70 HP. So there are a few spike tiles before, damage tiles before. Damage tiles don't give you any encounters ever, by the way. So here you just want to defend. If you have your Thief and Warrior below 7, you want to defend until you cast Thundara, which as you can see would do about 70 damage. And so now you defend and attack with one guy. And so since we only need to grind our White Mage and our Black Mage, having our Thief and Warrior dead speeds up things a bit. So go ahead and get the Levy Stone so you don't forget to get it.
Before going into this fight, do make sure your Black Mage and White Mage are at least above, like, 80 health, just to make sure that they don't also die to Thundara. Okay,
so we're gonna get to late level 18 and then do one more fight right here.
Basically, the idea is we need level 19 in order to get Teleport in a bit and to get Healara. And by getting level 18 and then do an additional fight, we will get level 19 off of the stuff
forced encounters, yeah. There's a spike type, notably the spike tower at the end of Citadel, which gives you a dragon zombie, which has about as much HP as about as much XP as an evil eye. So that's what makes the difference.
Yeah, on top of that, you can also fight Merilith before the glass upgrade, so you generally kill her off as well, making it pretty certain that you get level 19 off of one of the fights.
Yeah, so be careful here not to fall down. You don't want that to happen. It loses quite a bit of time.
If you do happen to fall down, the best way is to just grind out the remaining levels on the dragon zombies instead of walking up, especially if you didn't save just before grinding, or if you were pretty far in the grind.
Well, by first encounters, the spike tiles in Citadel. If you kill all the spike tiles in Citadel, you will always hit level 19. If you don't kill the Nightmares and you only get one dragon zombie, I think it's possible for you not to hit 19. Okay, so I'm 18, so I'm gonna do one more battle. And that's gonna be it.
Yeah, so the problem with the encounter in Citadel is because it's either 1 or 2 dragon zombies, and you get about the same amount of experience if you kill 1.5. So sometimes you won't get as much, which is why it's slightly faster to kill this instead.
So with this heal ultra full on everybody, you can actually heal the warrior and thief. No need to worry about HP values, you just want everyone at full at this point. I'd say save here, right in front of the forest encounter, once again so you can reset if you get a pretty bad ambush. Reset, reload. So I'd say, I'm playing risky. I wouldn't run, don't run from this if you're not feeling lucky. Because this can easily happen. In fact, I'm regretting the decision I made right now, but it paid off. So yeah, I tend to play risky. There's different, you can play risky, you can play safe. Playing safe is probably the better idea of the tournament. I'm just very used to playing risky.
So instead of saving on a tile before, you can also save just before you fall down, just after you've healed, just so that you don't need to get back into the menu.
Yeah. Dragon zombies are 2,200. Yeah, I actually looked it up for our bingo race. So preemptive's always runnable. You can get between 1 and 2 nightmares. Cockatrices aren't too bad to run from once you have black garbs. When you have thieves armlets, they're pretty difficult. Okay, so now we're out of Citadel, out of Ice Cavern, and we're gonna go to Citadel.
So the way that we're going to Citadel is actually a little bit counterintuitive. We could get the airship right now and just fly there. We'd have to park it quite far away, but we could.
Yeah, because in this game,
yeah, but because the encounter rate on the sea is actually lower, it's on average about 10 seconds faster to take the ship and sail there, and then sail back and then get the airship. The differences aren't that big, but it does save a couple of seconds on average.
Yeah, another thing to realize is that the only reason to go to Ice Cavern story-wise is just for the airship. And also, like, in the game in general, there aren't very good perking spots for your airship. Unlike pretty much every other Final Fantasy. Where there's usually a convenient spot in front of a town, but this game, no.
Yeah, you'll see that on a couple of towns later on, where the only tile you can park is pretty much the furthest away tile. And there's just nothing you can do about it. They programmed it in so you can only do it on planes, and they are incredibly rare in some places.
Yeah, big guys are annoying, I'd say. So here we're gonna go to Citadel. I'm not so sure where it is on the map. Saigon's easy to run once you have black cards. Also easy to run once you have thief armlets too. Yeah, so Citadel's down here, like that. So as you saw right there, I was moving the ship diagonally.
This is one of the many myths we have about encounter rate. It doesn't actually save any time.
As you can see, I'm actually getting more encounters since I started moving diagonally. So
a while back we used to have the myth that if you moved frame perfect diagonally, you wouldn't get any encounters, but that turned out to be fake.
Yeah, no, it's not a thing. Okay. Right here, okay, so I'd say just look at the map for this. Path is pretty straightforward. It's always the down or the right teleport, if you're not sure. Winter zombies are pretty hard to run from. In fact, I'd say just always attack. Always attack these guys. It's almost always faster. You very rarely run away. It's always the down or right teleport, if you want like a quick memo. Winter zombies are unrunnable on their own? Really? I thought it was only plus troll. It's fine. Fixing sound. Okay. Sorry about that. So, okay. Okay, the sound is way too high now. That should be better. So that right there is a spike tile. You can run from it. I'd say it's 50-50 chance. Though I think it's probably better to attack, just because you're guaranteed to do it faster, because it would have been faster to attack right there instead of wasting a turn running. And it helps like round out your experience if you were a bit low. You want to get this healing staff right here. You don't use it in itself, you use it to glitch into alerting robes, which boosts your intelligence.
You could also use the waves to get regen on your characters, but it takes a lot of frames to get the regen. And you only get it when you equip it on armor, so later on we'll be avoiding equipping worldly robes on armor just to not get the regen out of it.
Hopefully the sound should be fixed. Mind flayers. So here you want to get the gauntlets, bottom left. This is sort of a safety strat. It's possible to like not get these and not get the item, but it's super risky. I'd say it only takes like 5 seconds to get an equip, or get an glitch into what you need. So quiet. Lakshasa, it can be a pain sometimes. So this spike tile is going to be a dragon zombie or two. Just attack. These are unrunnable, by the way. They give good experience too. So this should round out. We should probably level till 19 right here.
So if you accidentally fell down when grinding Evil Eye,
just grind here, yeah.
This is where you want to make up those levels.
It's faster to grind here. It's not even that much slower if you just grind it here de facto. But if you fall down the hole, it's faster instead of walking all the way back to just do it here. Is the call of the game is the call of the game low?
The call is
really
fine.
Okay. Okay.
So a chest we picked up in Citadel there, which is actually what we're coming for, is the rat's tail. Don't forget to pick up that chest because that's actually what we need for the...
That's the reason we go there, actually, is just to get that one item. It's essentially, story-wise, proof that you went to the Citadel. So we just, like, wrap around. So you could do this before Citadel, but faster to do it afterwards. So here you get the airship. Another FMV cutscene. Another cutscene you can skip. Forgot to mention this one earlier. So right here, first things first, we're gonna go ahead and change our classes. So it's in this cluster of islands over here. So it's gonna be the island with 2 holes and forest. So you land right here, enter the bottom hole. This is the Dragon Caves.
Yeah, at this point you could also immediately go for Merilith. It's kind of up to personal preference.
The way it works is that like all the events you have to trigger are sort of arranged in a square, so you can do it in. Wait, did I forget? I forgot to get the rats here actually. So don't do this in a run. Wait. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, so don't do this in a run. This is quite the time loss. Well, I might as well show you why airship is slower. If you can land up here. So this is why your ship is slower.
There's a parking spot right of the desert that is closest to Citadel.
Gonna save us all.
So you need to, as you can see already, you need to cross quite a bit of desert and forest in order to get this. So, yeah, apologies about not getting Red's Tail. That's kind of a mistake that you generally really want to avoid, because it takes a lot of time if you have to go back for it. I think it's about 6 minutes on average to do Citadel.
Okay, so I got a gold needle. I need to use a gold needle now. So, get this. Oop. Hmm? Oh, wait, I forget.
So yeah, that chest, do not forget that chest, because it just wastes a ton of time. And it's fairly easy to forget it too.
Okay, we're done. It's enough. So now, again, we have to work back. This is why airship is slower. It's because of this whole ordeal you have to do. You have to walk all the way back. So, just forget that. Okay, well, that's pretty rare getting an encounter here. So yeah, don't forget to get the rat's tail, ever. So now, go talk to Bahamut over here. He's gonna upgrade your classes. So now you can leave. What's that soon? Since that's done, we're gonna go ahead and go to Melmond. So if you're level 19, go to Melmond. I'm well over that since I did it twice. Right, so you're gonna go to the White Magic Chat. Buy Hilara, you need to be level 19 for this. And then buy Teleport. Once again, level 19 for this. There we go. Now we go back to FF1. I'm gonna make a quick stop, because it's on the way to Malkog. Quick stop. I'm gonna go ahead and buy haste. I'm gonna need that for the last couple of bosses. How it speeds up things a bit. It doubles our damage output, basically, by doubling the number of hits we do.
It's particularly useful for the final boss. It's the only one where you really do want to have it, because it saves 2 minutes in that battle.
Yeah, so haste on Black Wizard now, we can call him. So here on Mount Gold, you want to step in on as many lava tiles as possible, because you cannot get encounters on lava tiles, or any damage tiles for that matter. So, like, something like this. It's pretty hard to get an encounter there. I'd say I'd recommend healing. At this point, you want to go ahead and ether up all your characters. So your White Wizard and your Black Wizard. At this point, I'd heal. Just because there's some enemies that can ambush and AoE you. So I'd heal on floor 3. And before the boss. That's where I like to heal usually. And which is why it's helpful to get Hilara before this dungeon, so we can just mass heal.
Yeah, if you don't have it, you can also just use potions for it. But Hilara is a little bit faster in this case. This is one of the... Because you take as many lava tiles as possible, this is probably one of the few caves where you really want to keep an eye on your health. Because it's very easy to get to 1 HP and just die on a bad encounter.
Yeah, for Merilith, if you're at full health, there's no need to save.
Yeah, as long as you keep an eye on your health, you don't need to worry about anything in Mount Gulg.
Yeah, so I like
killable.
healing on B3 and before the boss right here. So Merilith, simple boss, just attack. If you get a crit with Ninja or Thief, you can, or with Ninja or Warrior, you can one-shot. There we go. So we get a small cutscene. And now we can leave. Okay, now. We're gonna get an item to advance the story, and also like an optional item. Okay. So as you can see, I'm moving diagonally. You can't get encounters at the airship at all. So, oh wait. So land here. Enter the caravan, which is right here. So first things first, buy a fairy's bottle, and then buy 11 giant ace tonics. Just one should be enough, but you know, you never know. In case someone dies. So what giant tonics do, they give an extra 200 max HP to someone, which is pretty useful. Basically, they're a safety strat for Chaos, the final boss. Because HP can be pretty random. So sometimes your final HP values can be a bit random, so you can use those to help counterbalance low HP values and save things up a bit. So we just go over here, take this ferry.
You can't enter the next dungeon without having talked to the fairy.
Right, this is story stuff. And so here you want to go ahead and teleport to the Black Mage a bit faster. You're going to have to set his cursor to teleport eventually anyways, so you might as well do it now.
And the next cave will be teleporting a couple of times, so...
Right.
We're going to have to do it very soon anyway.
So we're going to go to Anorak. Wyvern's pretty easy to run from. Normally, but I seem to be having a bit of trouble. So here, just go down. Nothing to buy here. Let's go down over here, follow the path, and talk to this lady. Then talk to the barrel and say yes. Let's get the prompt. Here is the last cutscene we have to skip. So this is the cave of unrunnable encounters. Nothing dangerous, just annoying stuff. So most of the encounters here are unrunnable, so just be careful. Don't hold buttons preemptively. This is runnable, and also easy to run from, thankfully.
Yeah, so there's three encounters in particular to watch out for. There's ghosts, which are unrunnable. A combination of Sahagan princes and chiefs that is unrunnable when they're together.
Right. So this is number 1.
Yeah, and then water elementals is the third one you can't run from.
These can't be run from. Water elementals when they're alone, mind you. They sometimes appear in packs with other types of enemies, and in that case you can run. White sharks and sharks can be a bit annoying, but you can run. So let's go down here, and preemptive, nice. I don't think you can get encounters on the next floor. At least,
no, you can't.
Yeah. So you just go up, and then go left to wrap around to the other side. Once again, having a map here can help a bit, you know. And open this red chest. So now open the menu, teleport. Ooh. Teleport puts you on the previous screen. So do that twice to get back to 3rd floor. It's quite a bit of time to do that, actually, at least like a minute or two.
This is one of the main reasons that class upgrade is worthwhile to do.
Yeah.
Because even though you don't need to do the class upgrade, you can skip that entire segment. But because of stuff like that, it's actually worthwhile in the long run.
Yeah, so once again, just be careful. I never hold direct LNR here, because there's tons of encounters that you can't run from. Okay, here we go. We got the bad one. This one is a pain. Black Mage should be able to one-shot with the Judgment Staff.
Basically, you want to queue up Black Mage and White Mage with Judgment Staffs. Both of them will one-shot an encounter.
Yep.
But the Warrior and Thief would leave the Blue Sahagan alive.
That encounter is just very bad. It's a pain. Because the Sahagans are pretty fast, too. Okay, right here, this is I get the longest equip in the game. So we're going to be equipping almost all of our final gear. So we use the Light Axe to convert into a Survival Vest. 3 on all our damage dealing characters, that is to say, a Warrior, our Ninja, and our Black Wizard. One reminder, just a shoulder button plus X. When your cursors are in the right spot. And not in the shield. So once you have 3 and the 3 attacking characters, that's how I'll refer to them from now on, you want to put the White Mage and the Ninja together. And so the Ninja isn't going to equip the Survival Vest on the White Mage, he's going to do something a bit different. You're going to use the Healing Staff. Yeah, and convert to a Loaded Robes right down there. This boosts her intelligence, then you want to go ahead and remove the Black Garbs. This is so she doesn't go before a Chaos. You want to make sure she always heals at the same time, so that Chaos doesn't get a double turn or something like that. So, her equipment needs to look like this. Bam. Yeah, that's what it's supposed to look like. These boost her intelligence. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna equip the Golden Staff later. You don't want to equip it now so that she can still attack, because Golden Staff has very, very bad attack. but it also boosts your intelligence, so we're going to do that right before chaos, but not now. And so those are the final equipment except for the shield slot, and we're going to be putting ribbons on those once we get those in Waterfall Cave.
So once you're done with the equipment, you can just continue to the next boss.
Right.
There's nothing else that we need to do here.
Yeah, well, it doesn't make it's bad. You definitely want to move them before chaos. The things that it puts her speed in a sort of limbo range where she can go either before or faster or after. And her being strictly faster is okay, and her being strictly slower is okay. What's problematic is when she's either or, because then you can have a situation where she goes after chaos, then before chaos, which means that he'll get 2 attacks essentially. And that could be very, very bad, especially if you don't get because you won't get the time to heal in between. If he does 2 AoE attacks, that can mean your death. So you just want to make sure to remove all her speed items so that she's, she's slow, basically. Loader ribs are there to boost your intelligence. You don't want one in the armor slot, even though it would boost your intelligence a bit, because that will actually give you a regen effect, which is not too useful. Your healing is good enough, and it just adds extra animation time. So Kraken, just attack. You die to 1 to 2 turns, depending on your crits, damage rolls, etc. Yeah, the tournament is also is definitely planned with newcomers in mind. That's why we're making tutorials and stuff, Right? Once again, after the boss, just exit out with the teleport. And so now we're gonna go north up the river to Waterfall Cave. So we're nearing the end of the run. I'd say anything in the 110 range is pretty good at this point. Anything under the 110 is a very good time. Very good pace. Troll is pretty easy to run. Survival Vest makes you run from a lot of stuff pretty easily.
What Survival Vests do is much like what we did with Thieves' Armlets and Black Garbs earlier. It boosts your agility even more, so the chances of running become even higher.
And you get even more hits, basically, too.
Yeah.
So more damage.
We used to do the next cave before Sunken Shrine.
Yeah, we used to do this before, right? But Survival Vest also allows you to run from horses. Like, the nightmares, the horses are pretty hard to run from, and I'd say near impossible to run from. At least very, very slim chances to run from before you get Survival Vest. Now you can run from everything in this cave. Even from cockatrices, though. Even from you're almost always going to run from cockatrices. Okay, this is bad, because you can die instantly to this.
Pyralisks are actually the one encounter that is, for Pyralisks and cockatrices, which do both appear here, are pretty dangerous, especially on an ambush.
So in this situation, I'd recommend Judgment Staffing. That's what I'd recommend. Do as I say, not as I do.
If you want to try to go absolutely safe in a race or something, you can save before or when entering this cave. They're pretty uncommon, but they do tend to appear every now and then, and there is a forced encounter in a bit which guarantees you to get them. So it is worthwhile here to just take off the 5 seconds to make sure you're absolutely safe.
And there's no unrunnables in this cave, so you can safely hold on R, by the way. So I'm like saving here. I'm on a, it's not super necessary, but you can get a pretty bad ambush here, and once again, it's sort of like the situation in Ice Cavern. It's faster to reset if you get a... Okay, this is like the perfect thing, just mummies. So get the ribbon here, and then talk to the robot. So robot advances the story, gets you the warp cube, and now we're going to do our final equip besides Golden Staff right before Chaos.
So you want to get the second chest here, which has the ribbons in it. And what we're going to do is we're going to dupe the ribbon into a weapon.
Right.
Which is because we want to have more than one ribbon. So we dupe it into a weapon, and then from that weapon, which can be equipped by warrior and ninja, we can dupe them back into ribbons.
So I didn't go in-depth into this part specifically in my tutorial, but basically I can equip the ribbon, one of my possible items. I can convert the ribbon into a weapon, right? The Gigantaxe. And now if I move this weapon by putting a barbarian sword above it, I now have one of them in my inventory, right here. And so I can use this newly formed Gigantaxe to convert into a ribbon. So yeah, that's how it works. You basically just use the ribbon to get a Gigantaxe, remove it.
So you want to generally put Gigantaxe on
the warrior, yeah. So you can remove it just by equipping a barbarian sword. So equip one on everyone. If you want to play it safe, you can put an extra one on White Wizard. It's not at all necessary. Just if you're feeling particularly safe, it'll make sure that she can't die. It also makes a few more random encounters a bit safer. I don't do it usually. So this is going to be your final equip, with the exception of White Mage's weapon going to be changed right before Chaos. Her attacks are still pretty useful for random battles before then, so we're only going to change it right before the final battle. So once you've done that, just teleport out. It's really convenient. Probably saves about 2.5 minutes to teleport there, because otherwise you'd have to walk all the way back to the dungeon, plus through the spike tile. Oh, that's equipment glitch, by the way. So, sometimes the music just cuts out, but sound effects still remain. There's no real reason why it happens, it's a loading issue with the game. Happens on both emulator and console. So, at this point, you want to go to Melmond. Even though you need to go to Lithuania next, go to Melmond first. Don't forget to do that. That's very important.
So, you need to learn Lithuanian. If you don't, you can't talk to anyone there, and they'll just speak gibberish. But with having gotten the Rosetta Stone earlier in Sunken Shrine, if we give it to the professor in Melmond, he will teach us the language.
Rory the host. Wait, I think his run died though. Okay, right. So you can teleport out once that's done. Now get on the ship. So yeah, by the way, I've been perking the ship in the optimal locations, or at least trying to. So you want to perk it there so they can immediately grab the ship and leave. So right here, this is a bit of an annoying part of the run. Let's navigate your way to this continent over here. And you actually have to land all the way up here. Hello, Furuto. How's it going, man? Is it? Yeah, sadly you can't park next to the town. You have to walk all the way down this continent.
There is actually an unrunnable in this area too. If you encounter Minotaur zombies plus trolls, it's guaranteed that you can't run from
But Minotaur zombies are so hard to run from anyways, I always kill them. It's very... Actually, I've never run from them. I don't know if they're strictly unrunnable, but it's definitely not a common occurrence to run. So they're pretty much unrunnable, in my experience.
I think I have run from them a couple of times.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty certain that they're not.
But this encounter right here is unrunnable. Minotaur zombies and trolls are definitely unrunnable. No matter how hard you try, you won't be running. So right here, enter this. Okay, so this is NPC City. So basically there's like a super long corridor right here that is full of them with NPCs. Thankfully, I got luck and they didn't lock me. So then talk to this guy in the bottom left.
Again, if any NPCs block you here, which is more common, like you're gonna get it more times than not, just keep pushing against the NPC,
right.
and that'll make them move out of the way a little
Once you're
bit
done,
faster.
teleport out, and then walk all the way back up.
Yeah, you can teleport out.
I mean, like, walk all the way back up the continent. You need to teleport out of the town.
Okay.
It's also pretty convenient because NPCs can block your way. Winter wolves aren't dangerous at all. If they're with Ice Gigas, they are unrunnable. We didn't encounter those in Ice Cavern, even though those are pretty common there. So Ice Gigas Winter Wolf is unrunnable, by the way.
Yeah, and if
So
Winter
yeah,
wolves are actually have a very slow attack, but because of the survival vest, they're pretty easy to run from at this point.
yeah. So yeah, well, I'll get to that. We're probably going to get an encounter in Cash Run with one of those, and I'll explain the general strat. But basically, Judgment Staff will kill the wolves, but not the Ice Gigas. So you want to queue up a few physical attacks in the Ice Gigas to kill them. So enter Mirage Tower here. This dungeon is pretty straightforward. This floor is a bit maze-like, but it's pretty easy to get once you get the hang of it. So everything here is runnable on this floor, and easy to run from too.
With the exceptions of the blue dragon, which
Is unrunnable, yeah.
Yeah, I think it starts appearing on the second floor. I'm not sure if it's also on first.
The first floor is very short, anyways. You're not going to get many. You rarely get an encounter at all.
Yeah, but if you encounter the blue dragon, which is very rare on second floor, but it does appear on a spike tile on the third floor. You
Right.
just have to kill it. It's I think always just one of them. So they're not
Yeah, I think so. Okay, whoops. Or a tiger, pretty easy to run from. So right here is the spike tile. Just attack this guy. Okay, now we're moving to the second part of this dungeon. So if you're just go up.
So yeah, floating castle it's a pretty straightforward dungeon, but there are a few things to look out for. Evil Eye appears here again, and that's an unrunnable encounter, so you definitely want to kill that. Air elementals are actually the only elemental that is not unrunnable, so you could just try to run from those, though they are pretty hard to run from. And very, very rarely you may encounter a war mech here, which is, I think a 1 in 256 encounter, and it gives a ton of experience if you kill it. It takes like 2 attacks to kill, so if you happen to encounter it, you can just kill it. I don't know if it's unrunnable as well. I'm pretty sure you can run from it.
You can try, yeah.
But then again, I don't think I've ever encountered it in Floating Castle before.
So these are pretty hard to run from, though you can run from them.
So yeah, something to note about that 4th floor. Keep track of how you're moving. You can move into any direction. It's 2 up and 2 left, or 2 up and 2 right, or down 2 and 2 left or right. Like it's always like that. But if you miss it by any chance, the screen wraps around, so you can get lost a little bit if you happen to miss it. So keep track of where you are through the encounters.
So here, just heal up. No need to save, really.
Tiamat isn't capable of killing you.
Nah. But unless you're like a low health, so just heal. I'd say some of this one on if you're under about like 150 health, just heal in dungeons. If you get below like 100, 150.
Yeah, there's no real reason not to heal anymore. Other than the fact that it takes a little bit of time to menu. So just keep it as high as is needed.
Even then, X plus mash A to UC Lara is pretty fast. So, now on to the last dungeon of the game.
So, something to note about this last dungeon, it's actually pretty, it's actually one of the more RNG heavy dungeons.
The most.
It has a few encounters, especially on the first floor, that can kill you. If you get a white dragon ambush, it's pretty rare to get it, but 6 ice storms do tend to kill you.
Yeah, that's why I meant, like, keep your health about in, like, the mid-hundreds range, just to be safe.
Yeah, and especially in a race, you want to probably save on that floor.
So talk to this over here to enter the dungeon. Right. So yeah, these first couple of floors are probably the worst in the dungeon. Once you're through those, it's okay. So I got pretty lucky getting no encounters so far. It's actually a shame for a tutorial because I can't show how bad the encounters here are. Green dragons, unrunnable. Kill those.
Something to note here is that about half of the encounters on the first couple of floors are unrunnable. So keep an eye on what you're getting again.
Yeah.
Just to make sure you don't try to run from something that you can't run from. One encounter in particular, the white dragons that I mentioned earlier, is actually runnable. It's one of the few dragons you can run from, but it's generally advised to not do so.
It's pretty rare. So yeah, that was pretty lucky right there. So just walk into this spike tile, death eye, just simple attack. So this chest over here is a mega elixir. Oh no, wait, the one on the left is a mega elixir. That one's elixir. The mega elixir is more of a safety thing. I've never had to use it, but there's times where it can be helpful. Basically full of... Oh no, you just get an elixir. There's no mega elixir.
You don't really need to get them.
Yeah.
There's no... I don't think there's any scenario where I would have needed it for or for this category at least.
Unless you make a mistake and forget to heal your MP now. Right. So then interact with that right there. So these last 2 floors are probably the worst. Same encounter formations as before, but it's still a pretty long stretch. Dragon zombies, unrunnable. Though these encounters go by pretty fast. This is why you want the White Wizard to still have her Barbarian Sword, just so you can one-shot these guys. Because if she has Golden Staff, she's pretty much useless attack-wise, and sometimes you get 4 of those enemies and you want to do 4 attacks. These guys are winnable. Right. I'd say this would have been an acceptable floor in a run. Purple Worms, unrunnable. Though, honestly, this is an okay encounter, because they usually come in packs of 2, so it goes by pretty quickly, about as fast as like a 3rd try runaway. And they're not dangerous at all. They don't even usually get a turn. White dragons, there we go. I think, if I recall correctly, you can have the white mage use a judgment staff, and it should kill.
Yeah, judgment staff kills them generally.
Yeah, see, this is why these guys are dangerous. Ice Storm does a bit of damage. With ribbons on, it's fine, but you still want to keep above about 100 HP, just in case you get ambushed and stuff like that.
And in races, this is the encounter you want to save because if you get 4 of them in an ambush, they tend to get like 6 or 7 attacks off before you get a chance to attack them, and at your health, that's usually a kill.
Yeah, here there aren't any unrunnables on this floor. There were a few encounters that are a bit annoying, like the Medusas. Right.
There is one. There's the rare Earth Elementals. They're very rare on.
Oh yeah. Can the Iron Golem even appear? I don't think
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think.
I think it's just Earth Elemental.
Yeah. There's like one super rare unwinnable called the Iron Golem. If you want into those, just kill those. But those don't appear very often. So right, Lich. Okay. So Lich appears between those pillows. Oh, Earth Elementals, unwinnable by the way.
So yeah, Lich is an encounter you kind of want to make sure you're on full health.
Yeah, so all of the elementals except air are unwinnable. So right before you get the Lich, Ether up, heal, and then save if you want to play it safe. If you cast Flare, which is actually pretty common, it can be bad news.
Yeah, Flare generally shouldn't kill you anymore at full health, but it can.
It can be pretty annoying, but if you double cast it, yeah. See, there we go, that's Flare. I should survive. If he gets a high roll, like, characters might die. My ninja has good HP. My black mage has bad HP, though. But yeah.
Yeah, because of the extra citadel, I think we're actually a level or two higher, so...
My black mage has pretty low HP. One thing you want to take note of is how much HP your black mage has for Chaos. There's two different strats you're going to do for Chaos. Slightly different, that depend on how much HP you have. To heal up after the fight, obviously. If he doesn't use flow, you don't have to heal, which is nice. And saves like 10 seconds. This floor, pretty simple. I think the shortest of the floors in this dungeon. Swag here.
Either that one or the Tiamat floor.
Yeah, I think Tiamat's a bit shorter too. You rarely get an encounter on Tiamat. Alright, Merilith. Once again, just all straight out attack.
Yeah, starting on the Kraken floor, we actually can get some unrunnables again.
Kraken is pretty notorious, yeah.
Yeah, especially water elementals are very common there and they're unrunnable. I think all of the other encounters are fine actually, and you can just run from those.
Okay, right. This encounter is good. You can't run from these.
So yeah, for water elementals, if there are more than, if there's a pack of 5 or 6, you can just Judgment Staff, no problem. They do die to a Judgment Staff.
Okay, right, here's Kraken. Same strat as before, just all attack. You can also use a darkness spell, which doesn't actually matter.
Yeah, ribbons block off ink at this point.
Yeah. So my black mage does have pretty low HP. I'd say average is like 220. 230 for him. He can be a bit higher too. So here's Tiamat. Tiamat's a bit different. So we're gonna attack with all the first 3 and then haste the ninja. Hopefully black mage goes before, because Scourge uses it you're too because of ribbons. Hopefully the black mage goes before the ninja. If he doesn't, it's okay. Then second turn everyone attacks.
Yeah, so what that haze does is it basically doubles the damage output from the ninja.
Yeah.
So it significantly speeds up the fight.
And if he actually casts it first turn and you get good damage rolls, I think a 1 turn is possible. But yeah, either way you're gonna get a 2 turn. So now onto the final floor. I don't think you can get encounters on this floor.
You can't. No.
Right, so right before chaos.
So remember to
Heal up.
Yeah, make sure to especially ether your white mage.
Ether up. Your black wizard only needs about, I think, like something like more than 100 is enough. If you ethered him like right as soon after Melmond, you should be good. And then I'd recommend saving.
So So yeah, just make sure to also equip that staff we got earlier here. This is the moment to just make sure your intelligence is enough so that the white mage can heal up enough so that you won't die on chaos. You can save here for safety reasons, because especially when the black mage is low on health, this can be a little bit of a tricky fight. And then, seeing as how the black mage is pretty low, this is probably where you want to get Giant's Tonic Sword. Just in case he's too low, you can get him some extra health and make surviving a bit easier.
Right. Yeah, so my black mage is a bit low. I'd say about 220 HP. 220 is like the risky minimum. I'd say 240 is definitely safe. Anything above 240 is enough HP to go tonicless. Well, I'm under 200, which is very low, so I'm gonna go and use a tonic.
It's actually pretty common for the black mage to have enough health. So this is actually one of the more rare situations.
Yeah, so...
Very rarely the ninja can also be pretty low. It's a very rare thing to happen, in which case you can use a second tonic. You shouldn't, I don't think, ever need more than 2.
Nah, 1 is more than enough. So yeah, you basically want to haste your 3 attackers in the order of ninja, then warrior, then black mage. And of course heal every turn with black mage. This fight is pretty safe, but I recommend saving, just because forfeiting is very bad tournament-wise. And if you get very unlucky, you can die.
You need some pretty bad luck these days to die on chaos.
Yeah.
I don't think it's happened to anyone recently.
I've come close. I came very close in in my PB actually. Okay, Slower. If he slowers someone and it works, cast haste on them unless you're close to the end. So Chaos has about 20,000 HP. Oh, by the way, I forgot to equip the golden staff. So I played a bit risky. You can choose to equip or not equip the golden staff.
What the golden staff does is it just boosts your intelligence, so you'll heal more.
Yeah.
Chaos has 20,000 health, so it takes a little while to beat him.
That's why you want the golden staff, is in case he does... It doesn't happen too often. I'd say I'd recommend doing the golden staff in case he does hard-hitting attacks like that. You can have a character die if you don't equip the golden staff.
Yeah, having a character die here is very rare with golden staff.
I don't think it can even happen with golden staff, really, unless you get very, very bad luck.
So yeah, timing ends the moment you see the white flash on the screen.
Shit. Okay, yeah, that image is, No, Saito, that was actually intentional. I wanted to see who would notice.
So yeah, and this is basically Final Fantasy 1.
Yep.
So you can still see in-game time, which appears after the credits. It takes like 10 minutes to get it, so we generally don't stick around for it.
No.
If there are any questions or things you miss in the tutorial, just send either me, Cruel, or Chrono Kirby
Me,
a question. Feel free to ask anything, and yeah, hope to see everyone on the Final Fantasy tournament.
Yep, I'm curious to see what this one is actually going to be. And 212. Okay, not bad. Anyways, that's gonna be it for the tutorial. Once again, questions or anything, just go ahead and PM us about it. Okay, see you guys around.